Before we start, just a couple of things. This is the first part in the series where I talk about RPG mechanics. I don't know how many parts there will be, but this is the first one. And when I talk about RPGs, I'm talking about the subgenres I'm used to, like Western and European RPGs and computer role-playing games. I'm not trying to talk about every subgenre out there. There's a bunch of them, like Japanese role-playing games, strategy role-playing games. No, I'm just talking about the ones that I'm familiar with. And in this video specifically, this is more about non-linear and open world or semi-open world RPGs, because if a game's 100% linear, then there's not really much to talk about when it comes to traveling. So in this specific video, I'm talking about a more open role-playing game. And there might be minor spoilers in this video since I'm going to show some maps and things like that. Let's get started. Traveling in role-playing games, there's many ways to do it. Animals, vehicles, spells, boats, or you can just fast travel. I wanted to make this video to have a talk about this subject, and I might make videos about my thoughts on other RPG mechanics like combat and whether having a pen and paper rule set is good, but that's later on. Now, I was playing a game called Dragon's Dogma, and that's when I got the idea to make this video. I'm not going to talk too much about this game, but I will tell you how to travel. In Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, you can buy these things called fairy stones. They aren't really expensive once you start getting into the game. In the beginning they can be, and you really can't carry a lot of them unless you get rid of a large part of your inventory. And with these stones you can travel to certain areas. You're restricted though, you can't travel to any part you've been to before, only a certain amount of areas. There's also these things called port crystals. These are a bit harder to get. You can find some of them throughout the world and you can buy them at a certain point, but they're really expensive. And with these port crystals, you can lay them down anywhere, and as long as that crystal is there, you can fast travel to that part of the world. Fast travel isn't a deal breaker for me. If you have to discover an area before being able to fast travel to it, I'm fine with that. Now, if some areas are available right from the start, then I think it's a problem. And that was one of my issues with Oblivion. As soon as you finish the prologue and you're out in the world, the main cities are available right from the start immediately. You don't have to discover them first, they're just there. I think that's too much hand-holding and it's just unnecessary. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think there should be options to get to areas instantly or quicker, but you can do this without making it too easy on the player. We have plenty examples of creative ways to get around. In Elderscrolls III Morrowind, you have silt striders, boats, scrolls, spells, and more. For a small fee, or if you can find some items, you can get around a bit easier, and this encourages player to explore the world. It comes at a cost, whether using mana or paying a fee or having to find an item. And even if you travel using boats and silt striders, you can't just choose an area and they take you there. You have certain places to choose from, so it's limited. And this encouraged me to explore the world, whether it was to my benefit or to my detriment. Whether it was me going into areas I could handle or me wandering off to a place and I just die in one hit. I think that's the beauty of role-playing games, just being able to set out and explore whatever you can as much as you can. As soon as I start a new game in Morrowind, and you start off right in the first town, Siedanin, I don't go to a silt strider. I take a look and wander around. Sometimes that's just all I do, wander around and see if I missed anything, or I just do it to refresh my memory. I can't tell you how many times I went into an area I shouldn't have been and either died or just narrowly escaped a dungeon with my life. It's a habit. No matter what character I make, anytime I start a new game in Morrowind, I just run off and explore. Even though I played the game dozens of times, it never gets old. I remember the first time I went into a dungeon and ran into sorcerers that were too much for me to handle, or the first time I encountered Dwemer Centaurions and spiders. Those things creeped me the fuck out when I was younger. I remember my second playthrough. I just left the first town, Siedanin, and just walked around. I killed some mud crabs and wandered around until I ended up in Vivec, just wondering where the hell am I. I used to think there was something under that city, so I would jump off and swim around the river that surrounds the city and dive into it trying to find some treasure or something. It took me a while to figure out there was nothing there. Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura is an interesting game for many reasons, including how you travel. Since it's technology versus magic, there are trains in the game, but there's a catch. If your character is deep into magic, you won't be able to use it, but you have other options including teleportation. Arcanum is an isometric CRPG, and the way you travel is similar to Fallout. Once you leave an area, you can travel throughout the map and run into random encounters, so with a game like that, I think its travel options work very well. Kingdom Come Deliverance is an RPG that came out recently, and the way you travel in that game, it's a mix of old and new. You can run around the world, you can use a horse if you want, you don't have to use the fast travel, but if you want to, you just can't click on a place and you go there instantly. You have to be patient, because as soon as you fast travel, you go on a map and you see your character moving like a chess piece on screen, and you have to watch your character get there slowly, and while you're trying to get to the area you want to, there will be certain events that can happen. And you can try to escape those events, but you have certain chances, so it's not going to be instantly. You don't 100% get to leave every situation you want. You can be bombarded with something, you can be interrupted during this travel, and it definitely reminds me of Fallout, so kudos to the developers of Kingdom Come Deliverance. I like what I see so far. I haven't played the game yet, so I can't judge it, but I definitely like that aspect of it. And I can't talk about traveling in an RPG without bringing up Gothic. Gothic 1 and 2 to be specific. I haven't played Gothic 3. These are tough games, especially in the beginning. You can walk out right in the beginning, take a couple of steps left, or just go the wrong way and just get fucked up. I mean, there are some brutal parts right in the beginning, and if you try to wander off, you will understand what I'm talking about. But that's the beauty of it. There's no excessive hand-holding, there's no hand-holding at all. Yeah, eventually it's not going to be like the way you were in the beginning. As you progress further in Gothic and Gothic 2, you do find ways to travel around the world quicker, but you have to earn them, and it's not instant, click on the map, click on an area, any area, and you're already there. So you have to earn it, and it definitely works well for Gothic. Especially when you try to explore in the beginning because you think you can handle it, and then you run into something that kills you in one shot. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me because I have OCD when it comes to RPGs. I have to explore as much as I can. It irks me if I leave something unexplored. So whether or not a game has fast travel or very easy fast travel, it does not affect me. But still, developers, let your players explore the world you create for them. Free fast travel to major areas from the start is something I'm 100% against. But as I said before, if you can fast travel to areas you already been to, it's not the end of the world. Developers can always add a hardcore mode, survival mode, whatever you want to call it, and implement no fast travel for players that want that type of experience. It's better than nothing. So those are my thoughts on this subject. I picked some games to show you examples of traveling mechanics I like in role-playing games. Let me know what you think. You can leave a comment if you want to, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.